Hi, and welcome to this tutorial. This is the first tutorial in a series of 2 in which I'll show you how to integrate JD Edwards with Lotus Notes. In this first tutorial I'll show you how to integrate JD Edwards CRM calendar data into your Lotus Notes calendar. I will use 3 components for this. I will query my database. This is a DB2 database on AS400. I will output it to Lotus Notes, and in between I'll put a mapping to have some flexibility. I already added some context values to this job, which I can use. Now I'll start with the configuration of the DB2 component. I've prepared a schema that I can use for this. This schema contains a few fields, some basic fields for the calendar, like the subject, the body, the location, the start and the end time, and the importance. I've also added a unique identifier to identify the appointment. And I also have a query to select all appointments from the CRM system. I will only select future appointments, so ending bigger than now. I'm having this time zone issues because there are different machines which have different time zone settings, and the user can also have different time zone settings within JD Edwards. I've set up this user, that's my name, and this is set up in JD Edwards with default PIM-sync setup, which is default JD Edwards functionality. So this is set up now. I connect this component to the tmap, and I'll continue with the nodes component. This nodes component can use 2 ways to connect to nodes. It can connect directly to a mail file, but in our situation we will use diop to connect. I have some context values to complete this data. We have a generic user. With this generic user we can access all mail accounts we need to access to integrate the data. I will enable this debug mode so we can see what really happens when we run the job. If you have multiple servers, you have to find another solution for this. You can execute it as a subjob or have some settings above and loop it per server or whatever you like. And for now I created a context value for the mail file, but normally you probably also will have some looping per user to execute this job. Then there's this view name. We have created a calendar view in Lotus Notes. This calendar view is basically a copy of a normal calendar view, but it has included one field, and that's the Talend key. We created a field that is the Talend key, and it's the unique identifier, and at the end it will match the identifier as we get it from JD Edwards. This new view has been sorted on this Talend key. This key formula, I will come back to this later. Then we have this before and after code. This is added by default. I will remove this and I will add some modified settings here. These are basically some static settings like the border color of an appointment, the appointment type. Well, for now I will only insert appointments. and some other default settings like the preferred language, the icon switcher, how will it look like if you see it in Lotus Notes. And there's the same for the aftercode. It's almost the same, because there's just one difference. This is this unique ID. This is a unique identifier that is created, that should be created by Lotus Notes. So you cannot add it yourself. You cannot add like our unique identifier we have in the source system, because Lotus Notes creates it and registers it in a central database. And when we add it manually, it will not be registered, and it will cause you huge problems with these appointments because they don't exist according to Lotus Notes. So now I've added all these values. I can connect it to the mapping. Let's call it like appointments. And I can take the target component scheme, because I've already added that. And that makes life easy, because now I can just map the data. And since I've already named it almost the same, I can use the automap function to map it. And there's just a few fields left that I should do manually. I will use this instance ID from JD Edwards to match the Talend key in Lotus Notes. I will use the start date time to match the calendar date time, and for this demo I have just one appointment type that I will interface. This is it. And now we have the name, and I will use this for the key formula. And since this Notes calendar view is sorted on this Talend key, I can use it to insert data into it. So everything is set now, and I can execute this job. As you can see, my calendar is empty at the moment. And here we can see that our job is processed. We have a customer, the appointment type, the time and date, and this is the unique ID that is returned by Lotus Notes. One document is processed, one document is added. And this is how it looks like. I have to refresh my calendar with F5, and there is my new appointment. Thank you for watching, and please also check our second video on how we modify this appointment and put it back into JD Edwards.